This is the Flatbedders Roundtable, because all you guys, you have that in common anyway.
And don't know if that's good or bad.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
That's right. As you heard off the top there, and as I got the discussion going for this Exit Interviews Part 2 Flatbedders edition of our final run to conclude the Trucker of the Year competition for 2025, today's Overdrive Radio podcast will feature 4 owner-operators who share that common bond. You'll hear a bit of the bygone camaraderie amongst these flatbedders about the subject of tarping, no doubt.
Putting 3 tarps on, putting 3 tarps worth of bungees on, taking off 3 tarps, folding up, rolling up 3 tarps, chunking around three tarps. Come on, anybody got any sympathy? Anybody got any sympathy now? Okay.
We'll hear from the primary voice you heard there, Arkansas-headquartered Sapphire Cartage's Scott Smith, also pulling hopper loads as his prior bread and butter before starting to dip his toes into flatbedding earlier this year. You'll hear West Virginia-headquartered independent George Kincaid, longtime Kelsey's trucking owner-operator Ron Kelsey, who hauls in a beautiful 1981 Peterbilt 359 repowered in the 1990s with a C-15 Caterpillar, and working with 2 principal direct customers upwards of 3 decades. And finally, Rufus Morris out of North Carolina, leased to Material Logistics Management, and for whom it's been an eventful year for his equipment, much like the story you heard from John Treadway last week. Hold tight for that, but know that an engine overhaul is involved, and, well, that wasn't the end of it for owner-operator Morris, who told this tale by way of a piece of his best advice for any aspiring owner. To wit, be ready for anything, at any moment.
Maybe a month ago, I was heading from Charlotte, North Carolina to Petersburg, Virginia. Well, I was riding down the road, running about 70, headed to get my load off and pick up another one, and I started seeing all kinds of smoke. And this is, keep in mind, this is after I done spent $50,000 on the truck. I seen smoke behind the truck on back a little ways, and I'm like, I don't know if this is me, but you know what, I better stop. So I stop, and I got a puddle of oil up under the truck. Maybe it looks like it's about 2 gallons of oil. And I'm freaking out, no doubt. I mean, I don't know if the blocks broke, cracked, or what's going on, you know. And, well, my oil sending unit blew apart on the side of the engine. Me telling this story to say all this is to say that I had to walk 2.5 miles to get the oil sending unit because nobody wouldn't bring it to me. I was out there. You couldn't get no Uber. I didn't have an address because I was in the middle of the interstate. You know what I'm saying? So I walked 2.5 miles to a parts place, walked 2.5 miles back and put it in. That's just, you know, it's kind of funny now, but it won't funny then. You know? So
Right.
Snowing?
that just goes to show you. No, it won't snow. I didn't have to walk uphill both ways either, but still, I should have said it was snowing, and had to walk uphill both ways, and that just shows. I guess, there you go. That just lets you know that you never know. I'm riding along. It's 75, 80 degrees outside, and just enjoying the music and thinking I'm gonna get off work in a few hours. Here I am, 2 minutes later, laying up under the truck with 2 gallons of oil up under me, you know. I mean, you just never know with trucking, that's for sure. I mean, it goes from... So you got to be prepared for that, you know.
Bit of an impossible ask, as I said last week, and it's enough to make even a seasoned veteran like Morris question himself.
And you know what? I've had plenty of times this year when I was like, man, is it worth it? Whew, is it worth it? Then I look at my truck, and I think about the life. You know, it is a good life. Sometimes, but I look at it and I'm like, yeah, it's worth it. Hell, I can't give up. What else am I going to do? You know, kind of a final thought. You know, just be prepared for anything if you decide to go in it. You know.
With that final thought, as it were, the end is in the beginning for this December 8th, 2025 edition of Overdrive Radio. Full speed ahead to 2026 for these 4 Truck of the Year contenders. This year's competition sponsored by Bostrom Seating, who will deliver a new seat to the winner. Much more where all that came from after a quick break.
Winter doesn't wait, and neither should you. Treat now with Howe's Diesel Treat to prevent your fuel from gelling, and keep using it at every fill-up this winter to make sure you're always running strong when the cold sets in. But if you waited too long to treat your fuel and get hit with a winter emergency, Howe's Diesel Lifeline works fast, reliquefying gelled fuel and de-icing frozen filters to get you moving again. Stay prepared with complete winter readiness from Howe's. Prevention and rescue trusted by drivers everywhere, because downtime isn't an option.
Find the Howe's Company's full line of fuel treatments via HOWES, HowesProducts.com. We start the round off with updates from all 4 owner-operators that were part of the discussion. Here's Scott Smith with news of some changes at Sapphire Cartage. As noted, headquartered in Arkansas, with 2 near-identical Peterbilts, one of which Smith kept solely as a spare unit until recently, as you'll hear.
The second truck that we had is kind of a backup truck. I had a friend that was in need of, financial assistance, and we had an extra truck sitting around, an extra trailer sitting around, and I went ahead and hired him on to run it.
I seem to remember you telling me that you didn't foresee going that route, actually, because you had tried some different things in that regard in the past, and it never worked out for you.
Yeah, I didn't see myself going that route, and I never planned on it, but, well, he's the guy that sold me my first semi-truck. He sold me the original hopper. It's kind of funny. He's pulling the hopper that he sold me years ago. But anyway, he's 61, 62 years old, and he's close to retirement. And he doesn't like the big nationwide companies. He doesn't like having 15 different people to report to, and I think he just wants to work somewhere where he's not there. We're not going to expect the world of him,
And you know him really well, so
yeah.
You guys have a rapport. I remember him. I talked to him, I think, in fact. But remind me of his name.
James Campbell.
Yeah, and he spoke highly of you. So you guys are well.
It just kind of fell into place. He was working for an outfit out of St. Louis and wasn't liking having to go back and forth to St. Louis whenever when he was in, and didn't like being out all the time, and wanted to do something a little more local where he could be home more and kind of be semi-retired, I guess might be the best way to put it. And so figured, heck, let him drive the truck, let him pull the trailer. He's going to take care of it. He bought it originally.
Scott Smith's got James Campbell servicing the hopper loads he'd previously been running himself, working with the Del Tarp brokerage, while Smith himself continues down the road of flatbed freight. Our story about Smith's Sapphire Cartage business detailed the then very recent transition in efforts to take advantage of what he was then seeing in spot flatbed freight markets, higher rates. It's gone well with the transition since, Smith said, as you'll hear in what follows. Bringing on Campbell there, too, in some ways shows Smith remembering where he came from, given his first OTR work as a truck owner he owes to Campbell.
So I told him a long time ago, so pretty much, everything that we have at this point in time is indirectly, because of you. He sold us that first Kenworth that we had for a nickel. We took over payments on a practically brand new trailer because he was wanting to retire then. He's been wanting to retire for several years, seems like.
Right.
He sold us that truck cheap, and I ran that truck and made so much money with it. We were able to afford everything that we have as far as, our house and the property, and the vehicles are all paid off and bills are not an issue. So I was like, I don't mind helping you out at all.
Have you continued to run that flatbed?
I'm really liking the flatbed. Our next goal, one of my kids has their license and the other one's about to have their license. My next goal is to see about getting into some oversized stuff that requires escorts and running them as escorts.
Makes sense.
Try to help the family grow.
Sure. Yeah. Give them some stake in the business. And what are you thinking on the timeline of that? Your oldest sons have the licenses you're thinking about, or is it? I know there's a daughter involved as well, right?
Yeah. Well, the daughter is the one that just got her. Well, the oldest boy has his license, but he's got another job. He's going a different career path. But the daughter and the oldest of the younger two boys are seemingly interested in the idea of getting that when they get their license, becoming escort drivers for us and doing oversized stuff. then we can, make pretty good money per mile, and then also not have to worry so much about, finding escort services and paying escort services the exorbitant rates that they want. Like if you go to GameStop and you go to buy a game, they're going to charge you full price. But if you go to sell a game, they're going to pay you, $1. But if you stand outside of GameStop and you find somebody that wants to buy the game that you're selling, you charge them half price and they pay you, a lot more than GameStop would have. Cut out that middleman and do the deal directly. And that's what I'm thinking. Just cut out the exorbitant prices of the escort services, and they can get paid. We can get paid. And everybody be happy.
And you can keep it in the family too. You're dealing with somebody. Working with somebody as an escort that you know well, that you trust.
Hey, Todd, how you doing? This is Rufus.
Owner-operator Rufus Morris there, headquartered in North Carolina, and joining the call with Scott Smith and I from the road in Ohio. Like the remainder of the voices you'll hear in this Exit Interviews Part 2 of the podcast, Morris runs flatbed freight, often overlength and leased to material logistics management. When we talked to him for his May Trucker of the Month salute, he had been looking out at what he felt might be his best income year in business had things continued on as they were at that point. Some demand cooled for flatbeds then and later for sure, yet that wasn't what's taken the owner-operator off of that trajectory in 2025. Like owner-operator and fellow 2025 Trucker of the Year contender John Treadway's catastrophic engine failure you heard about in last week's podcast, Morris has had some truck troubles of his own with his 2004 Peterbilt 379.
The goal was a little high. I said it a little high, but I ain't going to make that, I don't think, as far as my income. It's pretty close to what I did last year so far. But I had a major breakdown back in August. I ended up doing an in-frame on my motor and spent about $50,000 on the truck. So yeah, it's been a hard year. Yeah, about 6 months. It's been tough. It's been I probably spent over $100,000 on the truck this year, and hopefully we got like 20 some more days in this year. Got 2026. Hopefully it'll be a different year.
What happened to the unit? What was the problem that you dealt with there?
It was 1.6 million miles on the motor, so that was the big part of it. But it was still running good and everything. I just had a cracked head and started blowing antifreeze out. Couldn't keep antifreeze in it, so I just pulled it down instead of just partially doing it. I just done the whole in-frame on it, put new oil cooler, air coolers, the whole. I tried to do everything at the time, whatever, instead of doing part of it, And right after that, my computer burned up in the truck. So that was about 2 weeks after I rebuilt the motor. I got on the road 1 week, made a good week. And then the next week, I left home on Sunday night, headed to Columbia City, Indiana, and the computer burned up halfway, about 200 miles from Indiana. Well, I noticed the truck started missing. I noticed it started missing just a little bit, like a jerk. And then all of a sudden, it cut off going down the road. So I pulled off on the shoulder. It stayed, cut off for a little bit. Then it cranked back up. And it run for about a mile or so. Then it cut back off. Finally, it got where it wouldn't crank at all. So it just completely shut the truck down when it, after it went out completely. I actually had 2 wrecker bills involved in it because I actually got it picked up by a wrecker because I couldn't figure it out. I thought it was a transfer pump. I put a transfer pump on it on the side of the road. I thought fuel filters, something with the fuel. And I forgot a wrecker pick me up and take me right up the road. Well, they worked on it. They got it running, but it went down the road about 4 miles and cut back off. So I ended up getting another wrecker to come get me and take me to New Haven, Indiana, and took it to the Peterbilt shop, the Peterbilt place I deal with a lot. Mm-hmm. They figured it out. They got me going again. So, everything's been going pretty good since the computer went out,
So it's kind of smooth sailing back to normal. That's great, but that's a huge unexpected cost there, no doubt.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I knew it was coming. I just didn't think it was going to be quite that quick, Yeah, so that's still on track for pretty much what I made pretty close to what I made last year. So I feel pretty good with that, even having a major breakdown like that. Because I stayed out of work about 3 weeks with the engine. Right. You know, between the two things, I was about 3.5 weeks out of work. So,
in some ways like Morris, when we profiled West Virginia headquartered longtime independent flatbedder George Kincaid in the spring of this year, he was looking ahead to a potentially quite good year given activity the first months of the year, when flatbed demand rose significantly with increased industrial activity as the Trump administration came in and following those interest rate cuts late last year. Things didn't turn out quite as well as expected for the owner-operator, though, trucking in a 2001 Western Star 4900 EX model.
Well, it wasn't quite as busy as I had really expected, but this second half of the year kind of took off. But I kind of branched out and I went local for a while, hauling pulpwood on yard hauls to the paper mill here in Covington. And that was, you know, I've kind of got to doing that to pick up the in-between times when the flatbed was slow. And it was actually turned out pretty good for, you know, the money was there without the fuel and, you know, the wear and tear so much. It's only like 50 miles each way, so you run 3 or 4 a day and come out pretty good without the fuel expense and stuff like that. But
right.
And then back to the flatbed too. This is wood pellet season. You know, wintertime, people stocking up for heat and stuff. So that's kind of picked up too. So I've been kind of bouncing back and forth between that in the second half of the year. So it's I have to see here in a couple of weeks how everything shut down. But I think overall it'll be an improvement over last year or two.
Very good. And you've done that local work that you mentioned there. You do that. Is that a new adventure for you, or is that something you've done before? Because I think we talked about some local.
Yeah, I've done it before. Then you know, before I got into strictly back to flatbedding, and then like I say, this year an opportunity was there to pick up the slow times, and it seems like this time of year the wood starts moving. I guess they're keeping stuff stocked up for the longer slowdown in the winter and stuff. So it's kind of a fill-in, just kind of keeps things moving along pretty good.
Well, good deal. Ron, bring us up to speed on how things have gone for you this year. I know you have slowed down the last couple of years, sort of looking ahead to the potential of being able to retire, I believe. But how's the whole year played out for you? How's it compare with recent years in terms of your profitability and everything? And you know, where are you in the career at this point?
Well, retirement's not a good word for a truck driver because you'll never get it out of your blood. I don't care. You know,
right.
You smell the diesel smoke. You know, when you're not driving for a while, it brings back the memories and, you know, the itch and you know, want to get back on the road. But I think we can all relate to that.
That's the voice of Arizona-headquartered Kelsey's Trucking independent Ron Kelsey, owner-operator of his long-running 1981 Sunrise Express Peterbilt 359, and hauling principally for two direct customers he's worked with going back decades now.
My goal this year was to work about the same that I did last year, and so far I worked a little bit less. I think I did 100 trips last year. I'm on 78 right now. We'll probably end up with about 82 by the end of the year, just because we did a few more vacations and stuff. And like I said, I'm on my way. Maybe do 1 trip a week is ideal for me instead of 3 like I used to do. So, and I'm doing some local work every once in a while when they need help. So that's kind of nice, you know. But
and most of your work is out of Arizona, up kind of into Nevada, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yeah.
Used to be over to California mostly. Yeah. You're still working for the same couple of customers that you've been with for 20 plus years at this point, right?
Yeah, 30 plus years, yeah.
We then went back around to all 4 owner-operators with the idea of handing off advice for the next generation of owners, with Sapphire Cartage's Scott Smith starting the round off this way.
If I was to pass something on to anybody that's fixing to get into being an owner-operator, especially if they're transitioning from being a company driver, anybody can hold a wheel and work a gearbox. Right. Anybody can do that. You can learn to work that. You need to strike a balance in being a mechanic when you need to be a mechanic and letting somebody else be a mechanic when somebody else needs to be the mechanic. And what I mean by that is if you're out there on the road and you're broke down somewhere, you need to be able to fix as much stuff as you can. That way you're not having to pay some stranger. You're not having to pay roadside assistance. You need to be able to do as much maintenance and work and repairs on your truck as you possibly can without having to call somebody else in. The flip side of that is when you're at home, you need to have a good mechanic that you can trust to do the work for you. Otherwise, you're going to be spending 24/7 working on your truck and driving your truck, and you're not going to have any home life. You're not going to have any home time. Missus isn't going to be happy. And I feel like I've successfully struck a good balance with that. I grew up farm raised. If it was getting repaired, we were repairing it ourselves. I can fix pretty much anything on the trucks outside of something that requires a computer to hook up and diagnose. But there's not anything on the truck that I can't do. And so when I'm out there on the road, if something breaks down, I save myself and my company a lot of time by not calling a mechanic or calling a tow truck or calling roadside service at the drop of a hat. And like I said, when I'm at home, I save our family time and our home life by having a mechanic that I can trust and has decent rates and, knows my equipment and does work while I'm at home. Basically, there's more to trucking than holding a wheel. You got to be a mechanic too, but you don't want to be a mechanic 24/7. You got to have that home time balance.
There's so many balancing acts that I think every owner operator I ever speak to is constantly trying to find the right the right weight for on either side. It's well said, and I think a lot of people would do well to take that to heart, and not just in terms of working on the truck, but just kind of maintaining the business itself in so many different ways, and there's lots of help to be had out there. And anyway, Rufus, what comes to your mind when you think about that piece of advice for the next generation, as it were?
A lot of it is a mechanic part. Like I said, I can do a lot of stuff to my truck too, but I do have a good mechanic at home that I trust, and he's the one that rebuilt the engine in my truck. Actually, he helps me out when I can't. I'm home, and he'll help me work on it or do stuff to it. His name is Jeff Alley. He's a long time Kenworth. He worked at a Kenworth dealership for a while, and he was over MHC. He's over CAT and all that. He definitely knows what he's doing. He retired and went in business for himself.
Oh, okay. What town is he in?
In North Carolina. Yeah, Franklinton, a little town called Franklinton, North Carolina. It's a small town, but yeah, he helps me out. He does a lot of my stuff that I can't do. A lot of people get into trucking and they just feel like the other guy said, it's just holding the wheel, but there's a lot more to it. You got to have the heart for it. You got to enjoy it. You got, a lot of people get into trucking because they think it's a get rich thing. Well, it ain't get rich. You're going to make a living, and that's, I know you can make good money, but I'm just saying, a lot of people get in it because they're like, oh, this is easy money. It's quick money.
Right,
trucking ain't easy.
Yep.
And like I said, if you're an owner operator, you basically like the guy said a while ago, you working on it at home, working on it on the road. If you ain't working on it, you're washing it, polishing it. You're doing something to it all the time. Seems like it. It definitely ain't the trucking that was back yonder years ago. Most everybody's out for themselves. There ain't no trucker ethics no more. A whole lot of times. And yeah, I hate it for the drivers. Coming on now. The young drivers, because they really ain't seeing the fun days. When you enjoy what you're doing.
George Kincaid, like Smith and Morris both, emphasized the importance of being able to handle maintenance both entirely on your own and with that trusted go-to partner for more complicated jobs, but also urged owner-operators coming up behind him to pay attention to the business side of things, from accounting and bookkeeping for both tax and performance analysis purposes, customer prospecting and relationship building, so much more. Know that Overdrive tries to be a resource in that regard with not only our day-to-day coverage of news and business issues, but with the comprehensive Partners in Business library you'll find at overdriveonline.com/PIB. It's a start-to-finish playbook for an owner-operator career and updated routinely. Here's what Kincaid had to say.
I think the business side of it catches a lot of people off guard. I've seen people, transition from a company driver and think they're going to go in it for themselves, and then they don't know about their taxes and all their bookkeeping and, your government this, that, these licenses. I think that catches a lot of people off guard when they try to do it on their own. Want to or have anybody to pay to do all that for you, you need to be set up on your business skills pretty much. And, I cover all that too myself, and it can, along with the mechanic and stuff, it's, it's pretty much your life if you do it all yourself, and that's something a lot of people not really ready for. But like I said before, we talked persistence. You got to be persistent and stay at it. You can do pretty well at it.
If you identify an opportunity, maybe not take no for an answer, but stay after that. Just kind of don't give up. I've had people say that to me, where it's like, they see a lot of, and they feel it in themselves, the willingness to just kind of just throw in the towel, I guess, is or the desire to, after when things get kind of tough. Stay after something, be methodical about it. Don't get frustrated to the point where you just kind of give up, as it were. I don't know.
Yeah, it's easy to get overwhelmed with everything. Then plus, unless you're at least on to somebody doing stuff, you got your booking your loads, finding loads, dealing with brokers and customers and things. And it's a full-time job, just keeping everything going.
Ron, your best piece of advice. I think when Matt talked to you, I think he did ask you this question, and I think you had some advice about just finding the right customers. I think that was part of it, but just thinking about it now, like based on thinking about your long experience that you've got, or reflecting on what some of what Scott and Rufus and George have said here. What do you have for that next generation?
To agree with Scott, you do have to be ready for whatever comes up on the road to fix it yourself.
Right.
Every time I change my belts and my hoses, I don't wait for them to blow, so I change them as just regular maintenance, and then I keep the old ones. Keep a set of everything. I have a set of every hose and my belts, so if something happens, I can at least put the old one back on. So I think every owner operator has a lot of parts.
You keep them out there on the truck with you while you run.
I have 4 toolboxes, so I can carry a lot of stuff. So I've got a couple buckets that have all my hoses and belts in it, things like that in my toolbox. But as far as someone new coming into business, you really need to, like I said, get customer relations with regular customers, but that's hard to do if you're running east to west, because you're not going to be consistent. You're going to be in different places all the time unless you have a direct route all the time. But you need to get in with good brokers. I have a lot of friends that use brokers, and there's a lot of, in this day and age, there's a lot of bad brokers out there, because there's a lot of money in trucking to scam the driver and never pay him, have him do the work. I've been fortunate enough in 49 years, I've only not got paid twice. But then again, I haul direct now. But when I was running east to west, I had used a couple brokers that didn't pay me. So that stings. You got to be prepared for that, because now you've paid for your fuel and your time, and then you don't get paid for the load. So now you got to reflect on the money that you have in the bank, because if you're going to start a business, you need to have capital in the bank just to keep fuel in the truck, not to mention repairs.
I'm kind of thankful for a gig that we've got going right now. We've been running these oversized loads from Little Rock out to just south of Atlanta, Georgia.
The voice there of Sapphire Cartage owner-operator Scott Smith, with a bit of a final thought, as it were, giving thanks for some new business, but also raising a bit of a hot topic for the flatbedders assembled here, invoking the tarping of those loads.
They're really lightweight. They're these foam panels with steel on either side of them that's used for building construction.
Okay.
The only problem is the ones we've been hauling are 62 feet long, and they have to be tarped. They stack them on there, and they're about 8 foot tall off the deck of the trailer, and they're 62 feet long. So that means that I have to continuously keep 3. Most people only have to keep 2, but I have to continue to keep 3 8-foot drop tarps. And don't get me wrong, the loads pay really well because it's oversized and it's got to be permitted and all that. But wearing you out, 3 tarps, putting 3 tarps on, putting 3 tarps worth of bungees on, taking off 3 tarps, folding up, rolling up 3 tarps, chunking around 3 tarps. Come on, anybody got any sympathy? Anybody got any sympathy now? Okay.
I have sympathy.
Hey, look, I feel for you tarping, but I hate the tarp, so yeah.
I can't really complain too much. I mean, the tarping does suck, but the fuel savings, because the loads are only about 15,000 pounds.
Yeah.
And they pay, because it's oversized, because it has to be permitted and everything, it's paying right at $5 a mile out there. So
wow.
I can't complain about having to work.
If you tarp the same thing all the time, you get pretty good at it, though. It's easy.
Yeah, I've got
to do it, right?
I've got a system worked out, and I've got all my edge protectors and my pole to put my edge protectors up there. Where first 2 loads, I was, monkeying around that stupid trailer trying to.
Oh yeah.
Probably makes it a little easier to tarp it like that when you're making that kind of money, though, too. So, especially with your fuel being as cheap as it is now with no weight. So yeah.
Yeah, because when I went from doing the hopper bottoms, we were running 80,000 everywhere, and now, 15,000 pounds on the trailer. My fuel usage has gone through the floor. It really works out well for me because the trailer that I'm pulling is a 1995 Ravens aluminum trailer, and there's certain things that I won't do with that trailer. Like I won't haul steel coils with that trailer because with it being 30 years old and with the weight of steel coils right in the middle of it, it's just too much. And I could feel the age of this trailer as it is because I got loaded with some heavy stone, and they tried to put the heavy stone right all in the middle of the trailer, and you could see that it was sagging. I made them spread it out, which meant I had to throw more straps, obviously. But this trailer, because it's 30 years old, you just kind of got to deal with the age of it. We're in talks with a guy in Little Rock about getting some heavy haul trailers if we go forward with our plan to do a bunch of oversized and heavy haul with escorts. Not many people can say they're going to turn their daughter into an escort and be able to hold their head up high on Sunday.
No.
Talking about escort driver.
Yeah.
You guys might have missed that discussion, but anyway.
Remember why we got into it to start with, and get out and try to enjoy it and make a living at it. I mean, I don't think it gets much better than that.
When worst comes to worst, what was it that you quoted? I remember you quoting Smokey and the Bandit to me, wasn't it you? Ain't never not made it. Ain't never not made it yet, or something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You gotta stop being so negative, son.
Right.
Yep.
Everybody on the phone right here, we all share the same thoughts. I mean, we think the same, maybe a little bit different here and there, but in general, we all do the same thing. And you know what I mean? It's like people coming into the business, I guess, the younger people, they need to listen to the older people. A lot of people don't do that anymore. I try to give people advice, tying loads down and things like that, even if they don't ask. If I see they're making a mistake, I'll go up and say, hey, you should do this, or this is how I would do it. But a lot of them don't even want to hear it anymore, and it's very strange to me because I listened when I was younger, and I still listen today to people that are even younger than me. They might have a better way of doing something because there's always flatbedding. There's so many ways to tie down a load, the right way and the wrong way, and everything in between.
And as Indiana-headquartered T-Way Rose Transport owner-operator John Treadway had it in last week's roundtable, and I'll paraphrase him, but basically, it's you're never too old to learn a new way, as Ron Kelsey also emphasized. Big thanks to all of these Trucker of the Year contenders and the remaining owner-operator businesses in contention for the big win. We're underway on the final judging round with 3 finalists to be announced later this month, with the Ultimate Trucker of the Year crowned in the new year. Big thanks to program sponsor Bostrom Seating for their support, delivering a new seat of choice to the winner, ultimately. You can get yourself in the running via the Trucker of the Year entry form you'll see at overdriveonline.com/toptrucker. We're in the process now of updating that form page for the 2026 program, but know that any entry put in from now through the end of 2025 will be considered for next year's competition. Big thanks to all of you for listening, wherever you find the podcast. Overdrive Radio is on Spotify and SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts and YouTube, Overdrive's Facebook page, and any listening platform, really. You can leave us a review there if you're enjoying these, and here's a big thanks in advance for it. Overdrive Radio is a production of Overdrive, the voice of the American trucker. It's edited and produced by me, Todd Dills, with the acoustic guitar and other support of trucker songwriter Long Haul Paul Marhofer. The theme is Legend of the Snake Man by Marhofer, featuring the guitar work of Travis, the Snake Man himself, Whammock, Terry Two Socks Richardson on bass, keys by Tishomingo Jim Whitehead, and on drums, Andrew Marshall. The podcast is backed up further by Overdrive's own social media coordinator, Jasmine Campbell, senior editor Matt Cole, executive editor Alex Lockey, and video editors Lawson Rudisell and Andrew Gwynn. We'll see you next time.